Are you currently struggling to get down to 10% body fat? On your way there, there's going to be many changes that happen in your body. Today, I'll be sharing some signs of why you may not get there and how to set yourself up for success. The first thing that could definitely affect your ability to get down to 10% body fat is lack of a solid plan. You see, it's important that you have an outline of how you want to get to your goal physique. Think of this as your personal roadmap getting you from point A to point B. A lack of planning can cause you to not stay consistent and not enjoy the process. This is even if you already have an idea of what your journey is going to look like. Most men have an image in their mind about their goal physique, and they usually reference 10% body fat as their ultimate goal. For ladies, that's right around that 15 to 18% body fat range. If you're not planning out things such as setting your meals or a deadline, then you're setting yourself up to fail. Doing this prevents you from falling off track. So be sure to sit down and thoroughly plan out your journey. Believe me, it'll save you from a lot of stress down the line. I know many of you out there currently dieting are super motivated and have tons of willpower right now, but understand once you get further into the diet, especially closer to that 10% range, those two things will become very limited. The next sign is something people try to fight and simply accept when they're now starting out, and that is they're feeling hungry and tired all the time. Now don't get me wrong, that is 100% to be expected later in the process, but not during the beginning stages of fat loss. If you're 1 to 4 weeks in and you find yourself in a situation, you may need to take a step back, review things like your caloric intake and sleeping habits, then make adjustments, because continuing like this isn't sustainable. You can also do what I like to call swaps. Swap out higher calorie, lower satiating foods for more higher volume, lower calorie options. An example is swapping out something like rice for cauliflower rice. It has a very similar texture, is lower in calories, and the amount of volume you get per cup is amazing. You could do the same thing with your condiments and dressings. Go for a sugar-free or fat-free version, as those usually have way less calories. Try to get your sleep schedule in order too, because lack of sleep can put your body under more stress, affecting your ability to burn body fat. In addition to the first two signs, this next one is vital, and it's not focusing on strength training. It's very important. Remember, your body needs a reason to hold on to the muscle that you built. Part of that equation is making sure that your training is on point. Even though it's difficult to build muscle in a deficit, you want to train with the intention of getting stronger. This will allow you to preserve as much muscle as possible. And don't listen to the people that say do light weights and higher reps to tone the muscle. Whatever muscle you currently have is revealed once that fat is stripped off. You can't control the shape of it. That's determined by your genetics. Now you can expect your strength levels to slightly decrease over time, but don't purposely lower the weight if you're able to do the exercise within the 8 to 12 rep range. The same principles apply that helped you build a muscle in the first place. Now you won't be doing any PRs, but mindset is very important here to make sure you keep that hard-earned muscle. A big issue I see preventing people from dropping down to 10% body fat is not tracking their food. There's also a lot of guessing happening. This is a problem because most of the time people underestimate how much they're actually eating. If they estimated eating 2,000 calories a day, they're probably closer to 3,000. You might think you're doing everything right, when in reality you weren't as accurate as you thought. In order to fix this problem, you can use an online fitness app. There's many free apps out there that can help you track your food, such as MyFitnessPal. I always suggest using something like this because it makes things a lot easier. You see, the problem with guessing is there's a very high chance you might miss something that you might have eaten throughout the day. If you do that over a course of a week or even month, you could easily be eating in a surplus and not even realize it. Most of the time when people say that they're eating in a deficit but are not losing weight, or worse yet, even gaining weight, it's usually because they're not tracking their calories properly. They're also eyeballing their portions and leaving out their little snacks. Remember, everything counts and adds up really fast. Most people know that weighing themselves during a diet is a must, but the frequency is also important. They weigh themselves weekly, which is not bad, but when getting down to 10% body fat, you'll notice that your weight fluctuates a lot more. This is why weekly weigh-ins tend to be not as accurate. During this stage, your body's more sensitive to water retention and your hydration levels. That's why weighing yourself daily around the same time after you use the bathroom is a better idea. You can then take an average at the end of the week to get a clearer picture of your progress. What you'll notice is at a higher body fat, weekly weigh-ins tend to work, but once you get closer to 10%, daily is actually the better way to go. In addition to weighing yourself, you also want to be taking measurements. Try not to use those scales that have the body fat percentage readout, as those can be highly inaccurate. Use body fat calipers or even just measuring tape. There's other things like DEXA scans and bod pod measurements, but those can become very expensive. Also, keep in mind, weighing yourself is good, but it only tells one part of the story. There's so many things happening in your body. Measurements, if done right, are another good reference point, especially when you've been consistent with your diet. It can give you a clear idea of your fat loss progress. A lot of the times, what happens is you may not think you're getting leaner because the scale isn't moving or you don't see it in the mirror, when in reality, you might be. It's such a small difference that the scale doesn't register it. This causes some people to get discouraged and give up. Keep in mind, the body's very dynamic. When you're looking at your body, you might be focusing on one particular area as well. Remember, when we lose body fat, it happens systematically. I know we want all the love handles and belly fat gone, but you can't spot reduce fat. Quite commonly, something that blocks most people from getting to 10% body fat is being too strict with their diet. What happens is, eventually our willpower runs out and we end up eating something we're probably not supposed to. At the beginning of your diet, you're all fired up. You say to yourself, you're gonna do everything perfect and stay on track, but towards the end, you realize it isn't as easy as you thought it would be. You have to be able to adjust to changes, not only physically, but mentally as well. Most individuals have issues coping mentally because your mind starts to play tricks on you, and that's partly due to your hormones changing. But knowing this takes a lot of the pressure off. Now, I'm not saying to blow your diet and have a cheat meal every week, but if you do slip up, don't beat yourself up over it. Just move on. Part of the reason why people end up quitting and throwing in the towel is because they don't allow themselves to make mistakes. You see, the journey that you're on isn't linear. You might have a few weeks where everything's going well, and then the following week you run into issues. You want to understand that there's going to be ups and downs throughout this process. If it was a linear and easier process, then we would have a lot more fit people out there, but that's simply not the case. Being able to adjust to the changing conditions is what separates those who stop halfway from the ones who make it to the end. So try avoiding the all or nothing mindset. Getting to 15% body fat as a man, let alone to 10%, is very difficult. You have to deal with many changes that take place in the body. You learn things like breaking bad eating habits and developing discipline. You also learn to break free from the instant gratification mindset that we're all used to and accept this as a lifestyle change. Sometimes, when we get to that magical 10% body fat, it's simply not what we expected. This is why, if you're not overweight and don't have much muscle in your frame, you may not want to diet down this far. It's probably more beneficial for you to get on a good training program and muscle building diet. If you're now starting out and currently skinny fat, be sure to check out the next video to find out why that may be the case and how to fix it. As always, thank you all so much for your support. I'll see you all in the next video.